But you know, you can have a toxic partner.
Oh, you can definitely have a toxic partner.
Yeah, so it's not just in friends. You can have toxic colleagues, you can have toxic friends, you can have toxic teachers, you can actually have toxic parents.
Yes.
People have been in a situation.
Not because it wants to hurt you,
Yeah.
but because you have to understand something from what happened. She hurt you. How did it start? Why did I put that person in a position to hurt me? And what can I learn from that so that it never happens again?
Like, do you have all that time to process all that information?
Well, if you have all the time to feel stressed and feel bad, maybe you can take some of that time to go.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Irene and today I am not alone. I have a visitor, as you can see. Sir, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Armand Magloire and I am the chairman of the UAC, which is the Union of African Communities in Xian. And just to make it short, the UAC is an organization of all the African communities in this city that we love.
So I'm going to ask you 5 questions and I hope you can answer to that, whether it's from your personal experience or something you've learned before, because all we do on this channel is we share with other people, from other people, and that's all about this video.
Of course, any question that you have is welcome and I will do my best to answer them to the limit of my capabilities.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the first question is, what is happiness and how can you be happy, especially alone?
Happiness. The term happiness means different things for different people, obviously. But first of all, many of us have this misconception that happiness is something that comes from the outside, something that needs to be given to you, or something that you have to go work for. We have to understand that, especially when you are alone, happiness is something that you create for yourself, okay? And I like this thing that says, your happiness is your responsibility, because you take responsibility for happiness.
Okay.
Now, one of the ways to be happy, especially when you are alone, is to work on yourself first of all, okay? And I think women are more experienced in that domain when I say that one of the basic step of working on yourself is self-care. Taking care of your outer self, taking care of your physique, working out, doing things that you like, doing things that make you feel happy. And when I say happy, happy in this positive feeling and emotions that you have. For those who like going to the gym, for those who like outdoor activities, anything that makes you feel positive, anything that makes you feel happy, those are the things that you can start by doing. Those are the things that count as self-care. Okay? For women, you can go shopping. Anything that you like, those are the things that count as self-care. And after that, now there are many other things. There are some mindfulness exercises, like yoga or practice, all those practices. I know it's not the same for everyone and not everyone is used to those things. Even when I say yoga myself, I'm a bit lost in there, but for those who are adept of those things, those are the things that make them feel happy. Okay. For those working out, make them feel happy. Because also having a positive emotion towards yourself, for example, looking good and having the self-appreciations also add up to your moral, to your mental state. So yes, I think that those are the basics.
Okay, we love that. So another thing that we talk a lot about on this channel is mental health, and I want to ask you, how is your mental health?
My mental health, well, of course I would say that I'm someone who is mentally healthy, but jokes aside, mental health is something really tricky because especially from an African background, from where I am from, it's not something we used to really work on.
Yeah,
okay?
that's true.
And
even from where I come from, it's not.
Yeah, it's something that we neglect And with the new generations that are coming, we see more and more of those problems coming, and especially in our communities when we see people having mental health issues. For myself, I would say that my mental health is on point because I take care of it. Earlier we talked about, when I talked about happiness, I said that self-care really helps you improve your happiness level, but also it improves your mental health level because you feel good, you feel strong, you feel anything that is positive that you feel for yourself also add up to your mental state.
Okay, so that actually comes to what was my second question on top of that, like how do you stay mentally healthy?
That for myself, it goes with my daily routine, my daily habits.
Okay.
One advice I would give out there on how to stay mentally healthy, if I have to base it on my own self, I would say to first of all build a routine, build habits that make you feel fulfilled. Yes. Having this feeling that you are productive, that you are being productive and you are not less of a human being makes you feel happier, makes you feel mentally stable. And having that routine makes it in a way that you have those milestones that add up to your mental state. You have those milestones that add up to your mental state.
Okay.
When you have this sense of achievement from waking up in the morning, and something that may sound really trivial, like doing your bed, making your bed, but something like that adds up when you have an amazing morning. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So you have your bed made, you have your breakfast, and then you have your morning reading, and you have everything that you do in the morning. When you are fulfilled that, you feel good in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. Like, sorry to cut you off. Like, it happens to me as well. Like when I plan for a day, or if I wake up a day that starts planned, it kind of makes me feel well, and that goes into my mental health. I have that, like what you said, I have a sense of accomplishment, like I've achieved something big or small, like making the bed, having my breakfast on time. It's different from the day that I would just have it anyhow. So yeah, so sure, you can go on.
Yes, and especially for me, because as being a leader, you have to always have this motivation to go ahead and help, to go ahead and be available to people. So you don't really have this margin of time to feel English.
It's okay. Sorry guys, he's from a French culture, so sure.
Yeah, so you don't really have this time to feel less productive, to feel displeased by yourself or by what you are doing. So what I tend to do is make sure that I feel powerful enough to be able to help.
Okay, so this is like a bonus question on top of that, like from what you've just said. So do you feel like you being a leader, or your position you have in your community, puts you somewhere, like you have to have a level of mental health?
Well, if you have to advise someone on mental health, you have to be able to practice those things in your life. People have to see the results of what you are preaching them.
Okay.
So I have this need to have a stable state of mental health, whereas I can go in front of people and give them the advices I know based on what I'm living in my own life. So before going out there and preaching people on how to feel good, I have to practice that myself to make sure that it really works, so that I can go outside and say it. Because if I don't, then I'll just be preaching theories that I'm not putting in practice myself.
Oh. Okay, thank you so much. That was a good one. So I hope we are taking notes on how he stays mentally healthy, and that was nice. So
if I may add a few more details also on that.
Yeah.
Like I think I keep coming back on what I said about happiness, but also it is, your happiness, your level of happiness and your mental health are they really go together. And one thing that I do, I work hard. I work out. And working out for many people know that, but working out, it helps you spaz out of the of the things happening around you.
Yeah.
For there's this state that they call flow that I haven't been able to attain lately. But there's a state of flow when what you are doing, and especially it can come in art, physical activities and anything, but when you are in that state, everything around you feels silent. You can just focus on what you're doing. People achieve that when they work, when they paint, when they do art, when they work out, but this is something I would advise people out there, and also add it in your routines, because you need that moment of quiet. You really need that moment of quiet, especially in our days when you have social media that are really loud in our life. You have the people around us, the gossiping and all those things happening. I'm not judging, but all those things are happening, and you need this moment of quiet.
Okay.
So you can either work out if it is your thing. You can listen to music. People that I know, people who love music. You can have your music moment. You can paint. You can do anything that makes your brain productive. And having that moment of quiet it also helps your brain rest a little bit from all those pressure it's getting everything, because your brain works out 24/7 even when you're sleeping. So give it a time when it doesn't have to do anything. Just go with the flow. Go with the flow of the action that you're doing, and that is going to help you a lot, trust me.
No. So this could mean like we can actually disconnect. I feel like you're adding that one of the ways to take care of yourself mentally is to disconnect.
Exactly.
To disconnect from the world, from the social media, like you said, from the internet and all that.
Yes.
It's kind of hard, but I think we can try. Yeah, and I feel like there's some days that I'm not busy. I mean, I'm not planning to disconnect from the internet or from turning on my VPN. I feel like in this country, every distractions begin when you turn on your VPN. So some days I find myself busy and I don't turn on my VPN for quite a long time. And in that moment, it's not just like it's peaceful, because these days I've been seeing, like you said, on social media, there's so many things that have been disturbing me mentally on so many issues like parenting, social values. So I really like what you just said there.
Yeah, and one last thing to add about social media is the thing with social media is even when you don't have problems, you have other people's problems. Because you will find yourself going through someone's feed, seeing the things that are happening in their life, and those things will start building stress in your whole life. And for people that are really susceptible to be influenced by those things, you will see that for people that are really susceptible to be weakened.
It's okay, you can put it in French, maybe we can translate it.
Yes, so for people I would call it weak-minded, but it's not what I mean.
Oh,
but
okay.
in a certain way, for people that are weak-minded, it will influence their day and their mood. Because I think everyone can relate to that. Let's say you have a friend who's going through a difficult time, and she just came and told you a story, okay? And now you feel pissed, angry about what is going on in her life, and that feeling that you have is building up to your own state, your own feelings.
True.
And those things you will go and show them outside.
It's kind of like you relate.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's also the thing about social media, because those things that we call short and reels that take just a few seconds or 1 minute, those few seconds and 1 minute are encrypted in your brain. Your brain is interpreting those things, and the result of those things is what will happen in your life during your day.
Okay. And for me, I feel like the problem there, like you say, they're just shorts and reels, but I actually find the problems in the comment section. That's where I find the problem. Like I see how people think and how people criticize and how people want things to be like. It starts from there, and from the comments you can get to, it can link you to another page, another post. Like it goes like that. So I really, I think that is the biggest, disconnecting. Thank you so much. So, and it says, what are some strategies for coping with stress and staying positive, especially in hard times, in difficult times? How can you cope with stress and to stay positive?
Strategies to cope with stress and
Yes.
staying positive. To stay positive, staying positive is quite easy. First of all, you have to.
It's easy?
Well, you know, there's this thing I like to say to people who come and ask me for advice is that something is out of your hand until you realize it is actually within your hands.
Really?
Okay. And a very simple example of that is when I see people that go through difficult situations or go through fights with other people in the community and they get angry. And I tell them that your anger or your reaction is within your power the moment you realize it is within your power.
For my gender, it could be difficult.
Yes, because I'll go a little bit off topic, but anger is what I call a secondary emotion.
Oh yeah?
Anger is a secondary emotion. I mean that it is not the first reaction that came out of what happened to you. Somebody might have wronged you and you felt a certain way. Let's say you felt shame, okay? Someone insulted you or said something that wronged you and you felt shame.
Yeah.
Now, our brains don't usually know what to do with shame. The way our brain works is that it wants to react to what is happening. So with feelings like shame or fear, he doesn't really know what to do with it. So what he does is it will change it into something that is easy to react to, and that becomes anger. So from the insult, you feel a certain way, and that certain way, your brain turns it into anger, and so from anger, you know how to react. Either you shout, you start throwing things around, and that is what happened. So when I talk with people, what I tell them is, what did you feel when you said that? What did you feel when you did that? You say,
offended?
Yes, I felt offended. You know, he said something that made me feel bad or made me feel that might have been true and I was ashamed of it. I was like, yes, that is the problem. Deal with this problem and then you can start dealing with the anger. Because the results of the anger, dealing with the results of your anger, just start with apologizing. Because from your anger you did something that was wrong and you apologize for it. But that is what you do for the person. What do you do for yourself? Okay, so that also comes into self-care. Taking the time, and that's how one of the ways to cope with stress. Taking the time to understand what is it that makes you feel that way.
Yeah.
We have this habit of running away from situations.
True.
Something might have happened to you, and you just put it aside, and you don't want to think about it anymore, and you want to go on with your day. But that thing will keep climbing to your head. Like it will cling in there until one day you just explode. So take the time to not go through it and to what happened, but take the time to analyze how you were feeling, what made you feel that way. Because also, a bit of psychology there, but our brains hold on to things until we have learned from those things. If someone hurts you, your brain will hold on to that, not because it wants to hurt you, but because you have to understand something from what happened. He hurt you. How did it start? Why did I put that person in a position to hurt me? And what can I learn from that so that it never happens again?
Like, do you have all that time to process all that information?
Well, if you have all the time to feel stressed and feel bad, maybe you can take some of that time to go process.
Okay, I feel like that is coming from an intrapersonal or let's say, yes, I understand, but sometimes stress could be family. Okay, like still it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. It's from the interaction with people.
Yes, stress can be family, stress can be friends, and often and more often with friends, because friends are the people you spend the most time with, and well, they are also the people that have some of the most influence on you. So you also have to take the time to really study your friends, to study what is the thing that they are doing for you. I would recommend people to do that daily or maybe a few times a week, but take the time to document yourself and the people around you to make sure that they are a good influence to you. And if you cannot do that, well, you can search for counsel, or people who have an exterior view of your situation.
Yeah.
What do you think of me? What do you think of my friends? What do you think, since I've been friends with that person, how has my life changed? Your friends are seeing that. Some people around you are seeing that, and they can tell you, can have that feedback. Take that short time, because this is also part of your self-care. This is the part we don't know that is important until you realize it is important, until you need it. Because that is when you are in trouble, you always have those people saying, you know, I always thought that since you met that person, your life has changed, but where were you when I met that person? But also, where was I to come and ask you that question?
Okay.
So I know it is a hard work, I know it takes time, but go ahead and do this work, and trust me, you will reap the benefits of this hard work that you are doing, because it saves you from a lot of mental trouble.
Okay, including stress, right?
Including stress. And to cope with stress, okay, to stay positive, build this mindset, build this habit of being positive or telling yourself positive things. Because the Bible says that whatever comes out of your mouth comes from your heart.
Yeah.
And even in jokes, when you say, my life is just bad, this is something that, this is a seed that is in your heart. You're saying it as a joke, but this is planting a seed in your heart.
I talk a lot about what we affirm of our lives, like what you speak of yourself, like what do you think. I think being negative, like you said, or the stress and the problems, they all begin with yourself. Like if you can allow these people to offend you, if you can allow this situation, for me, like when it happens, I have a moment that I'm feeling negative or hurt, like the stress and staying positive in a difficult time. First, you know, as a human, you have that response to this emotion, like you're gonna feel hurt, like you say, you're gonna feel ashamed. But then I put myself down, I ask myself, where is the problem? Who is the reason? Am I? Are they? And where are they speaking from? Like, what is their point of view? Because sometimes people have a tendency of maybe belittling their friends. You know, you can have a friend, but they have a way of manipulating, and so I feel like what you're saying is true. And also, if you can have a balance and a check of to what level people's words or behaviors shouldn't affect you in a negative way. So it's kind of like how you said, what you affirm to yourself, what you tell yourself, what.
Yes, have this habit of affirming to yourself, telling yourself positive things, and think positively. I know it is hard. It really is hard, especially when you are going through negative things. When everything around you is negative, it is really hard to stay positive. But trust me, even if it seems worthless, even if it looks like it's not doing anything, this small thing, this small action of standing in front of the mirror and telling yourself you are pretty when everyone is telling you you are ugly, or telling yourself you can do it when people say you can't. This small action, if you do it daily, if you do it enough times, it will change into a mindset, and that mindset is what will bring you higher. Because being negative starts, of course it starts with negative actions, with negative things around you, but it is planting something inside of you. And for you to change that, start planting positive things inside of you. Start by telling yourself positive things. Start by visualizing positive things. You're going through a hard time, a hard financial situation, start visualizing positive financial situations. Start by seeing yourself coming out of there, out of the problems. And then your head will start thinking of ways to make you come out of those problems. Because also, our brains work with what we give them. What we give them comes, yes, from outside, from our eyes see or hear, we listen to things coming from outside, but also there's the inside. What we give it from the inside. And like I said, what comes out of your mouth starts in your heart. And what you plant in there also goes way up to your brain. when you tell yourself positive things, I can do it, I can solve this, I will achieve this, your brain will be in that state where it's thinking, okay, so we can do it. Now how can we do it? Oh, we can achieve it. Okay, let's find ways to achieve it. But if your brain is always like, we can't do it. Nah, this thing is too hard for us. Then yeah, it will be too hard for you. Maybe the solutions are not in your hands. Maybe you don't have the solutions. But when you put yourself in a position when you are ready to receive the solution, when they pass by you, you will see them pass.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So without wasting your time, now I want to ask you, like we have been talking about people and being negative. We could put it like being toxic, you know. So what are the signs that this person is toxic, and how do you deal with toxic people?
Toxic people.
Yeah, I feel like I wanted to ask you because when we come to a female or a female gender, you know, it's really easy for us to say this person is toxic. It's so easy to pinpoint out toxic traits of people and everything. And one of our biggest solution for toxic people is to cut them out of our lives. So you being a man and having to know what you know, okay, so what are the signs that this person is toxic, and how do you handle that? How do you deal with that? Because I feel like aside from you dealing with yourself, your personal life, the people that you have in your life, your family, your friends, still you have an entire organization. And as you see, your organization has a lot of people. You have people from different countries. How many countries?
So far we have 20
countries, you see. So these 20 countries, they have their leaders who are also male, female, with different backgrounds, maybe a mixture, you know, and you're from a different perspective, especially now when you're from a French background, when you're dealing with us who are coming from the Swahili background, and now you're dealing with people coming from the English, it's a lot of there. So how do you...
Backgrounds are different, cultures are different, and that is one thing we, especially for leaders, we have to take into consideration. People have not been raised the same way you have been raised, so of course a lot of things are going to be different. But there are basics.
To see a toxic person.
Yes, there are basics, even in moral. And I've had this conversation with lots of people who told me, well, this is how we are back home. And I understand that this is how you are back home, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And when you wrong someone, no matter if this wrong is right from where you are from, it's still wrong out here. And you have to take that into consideration. And I find it pretty selfish when you do something wrong, and instead of thinking about it, what justification you say is, this is how we are back home, or this is how I was raised, and this is wrong. Okay, now being wrong also doesn't mean being toxic, because you'll have some people out there with lots of good intentions but with a very bad character. Now your responsibility as an individual is to see how much you can take, because understand this, you cannot change someone who is not willing to change first. And it will be hard, you can, but it will be hard to change someone who's have a certain mindset for, let's say, 10, 20 plus years. Something that is encrypted in his being, you coming and changing that will take you time. Now, what tells you that in that time, you can handle what is going to happen? If you cannot, don't bite more than you can chew. Don't take on more stress than you can handle. If you cannot, try to stay away and see if that person can change on her own. If you can, then good for you. That will be that person will become a very good person after you, but that's a risk that I don't encourage people to take. Now, I'm not asking people out there to give up on their friends because they have bad behavior. What I'm saying is take care of your mental state first. We talked about happiness and mental state and stress here. Take care of yourself. don't put yourself in situations that are too difficult for you.
Like choosing yourself, right?
Yes, choosing yourself, but not in a selfish way, just in a way.
Because I was coming for that. I was about to say, people will call you, especially as a female, you know, as a woman, people, if you cut yourself off from toxic people, or if you try to change, you'll be like, this is not what I can handle. Like you say, see how much you can take. But when we move away, people now label you as mean, and people take you like you're selfish. But I don't feel like it's always the case.
Okay, now take this example, okay? Why do you think when you board a plane and the flight attendants start giving those instructions, they tell you, in case of depressurization or in case of problem, put on your mask first and then put on the person next to you. And if you have a child, first put yourself on and then you put on your child. They don't ask you to be selfish and think about yourself first. But what they tell you is, if there is an air problem and you and your child have difficulties breathing, make sure that you are able to help them, okay? Because if you start putting on them, which they cannot do by themselves, and you run out of air and you fall, and they cannot do that by themselves, they fall, so you are both dead for nothing.
Okay.
But if you help yourself first, make sure that you can breathe, make sure that you can stay alive in that situation, and then you help that person. That is the best way to handle that situation. So that is what they say. And they even tell mothers, if you have a child, first put on your head and then you put on the child. Why? Because you have to be able to help that person. So if you are in a situation with someone who is toxic, if you cannot handle the toxicity of that person, know that this toxicity is going to make you bitter. It's going to change you, going to change your temper, going to change how you interact with people. And if that is possible to happen, it is better for you to first think of your own mental state. Put yourself in a situation where you are mentally healthy, when you are mentally stable, and then you go ahead and help that person. But if he is toxic, you cannot handle, but you first go and help them, and then both of you become toxic, I don't know who is going to help each other after that. But it's going to be chaos. Okay. So that's what I mean. Not in being selfish, but making sure that you can help that person. And for you to be in that state where you can help that person, help yourself first. You help yourself, stabilize your situation, and then you go ahead and help that person.
Okay, so like, what are the signs of this person is toxic?
Yeah, about the signs of someone being toxic. Well, I'm pretty sure girls have a whole list of, because I've heard of a list of signs of being toxic, and from that list what I can get is if that person, first of all, if that person has a negative impact on you, that is one sign. Also, if that person is likes to control you, okay, this emotional control or thing that you feel are not right. If that person has a negative impact on you, if that person is manipulative, that's what I meant by control. The person is manipulative, and people who tend to put their feelings and their situation before yourself, before yours, to put themselves before you. Because a healthy friendship is someone who wishes the best for you.
But you know, you can have a toxic partner.
Oh, you can definitely have a toxic partner. Yeah,
so it's not just in friends. You can have toxic colleagues, you can have toxic friends, you can have toxic teachers, you can actually have toxic parents.
Yes.
People have been in situations like that. So I think like it's a huge thing.
Yeah, it is huge. It is vast. And there are a lot of toxic traits out there. And the best way to go about it is first do your research. Honestly, there's no shame in going to Google. Trust me, there's no shame in Google.
But some people can hide.
Oh yeah, people can hide, but at one point, there's just so much hiding you can do. At one point, you'll see the true colors.
Okay.
You can be 2 or 3 years down the line, and then at one point, they just change. Because lying is a hard work, and sometimes you get tired of it. So when you find out, when you realize this person is toxic, when you realize this person has a negative influence on you or is toxic for you, first do your research. You do your research, you make sure that you are clear about it. Because don't also we tend to categorize people in a certain way, and sometimes we are wrong. That is why you see people, and also I've had people coming to me and saying that they were with those friends, and they went and complained about those friends with other people, and the other people told them they were wrong, so they felt like
you're not there for me.
Yes, exactly.
Like they picked the side of the other person.
Yes, because that person might not be toxic per se, but that person has a negative influence on you. That's why you really need to make your research. The way that person influences you might not be the way he influences other people. That might not mean that he's globally toxic, but he's wrong for you. So you do your research, you make sure that you call the right thing with the right name. And when you are there, that's when you can really say what is happening to you. If you say that this person is toxic for me or this person is bad for me, then you do your research, you make sure that you have the right words, and when you go and talk about it to people, they understand what you mean.
So, sorry to cut you off, my battery kinda died, but yeah, so let's move on to the final question, and this says, how can we stay motivated and committed to our happiness and self-improvement or self-goals in the long term?
Staying motivated. Wow. This is tough, because this is a question actually. This is something that matters for a lot of people, for young ones especially. And those are lessons that we learned, that some of us actually learned a bit late. But to stay committed to your happiness and stay motivated and committed to your goals means that you first have to set the goals.
Okay.
Don't just go with the flow of life. That's the wrong thing to do.
Really?
And especially in our days, don't just, okay, it is life will happen. No, that's not how it works. You have to set goals. And one thing that Muhammad Ali said is, if your goal doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. Okay. Set big goals. It's better to set something big and achieve them halfway than setting something small and achieving them and then there's nothing after that. Always try to aim for something big. Okay. Those are the kind of goals that you have to set, and staying committed to them. That's something that you do daily. That is something that you have to do daily. But also, to stay committed to your happiness, you have to understand that your happiness is your responsibility. Okay. Do not expect any outside exterior influence on you. I understand that your friends also add to your happiness, your family, but how you react to things, that is your responsibility. Okay. There's not a lot of things that we can control, but we can control our reaction, our emotions, our states, our mental state, and all those things. Those are the things that we can control, and those are the things we have to stay committed to controlling. The things that are in your reach, those are the things you have to make sure you stay committed to controlling them, to make sure that they are the best. You see them in the best way.
Okay. But sometimes, okay, to bring this up, sometimes you have goals, you want to stay committed, and you have that mindset. You have set the goals and you want to do this, you trust in yourself, but then a close person to you discourages you. You know, where we come from, especially in my country, parents don't believe in certain goals or certain jobs. Let's talk about jobs. You know, where I come from, you're meaningful if you're a doctor or if you're a politician, you know, and if you're a girl, if you're married, you understand? Like, that's at a certain age, there are goals and there are things that they have given value and standards. But now if I come and I say, for instance, let's take for instance me being like doing my content creation and stuff, and let me say I have a goal to create content for BBC. Okay, maybe they'll say it's BBC. Let me say I want to work probably with MTV, or you know, like one day on my channel, like maybe I say my goal is to do what I'm doing to my best level, and as I'm interviewing you today, maybe one day I want to interview Obama or someone, you see, it could be difficult or someone to understand and believe in that goal. Like, you have to focus on school, you have to do this and that, like this is not the right path. Like, how can a person stay motivated? Or the family telling you like, you can never be that, you can never do it. We have a lot of that.
Okay, so one thing to understand is that in everything that you are doing, motivation can only take you won't take you really far, because motivation doesn't last.
Okay.
Some days you wake up motivated, some days you wake up not
That's
motivated.
true. That's true. You just have to.
The key word here is discipline. You have to discipline yourself every day, even when you don't want to. Every day, stay committed to the same action, to the same level of work that you started to put when you were motivated.
Okay.
So the key word is discipline. And with your goals and your dreams, it may sound counterproductive, especially with young people, but don't let anyone discourage you. When you have a goal, when you have a dream, keep it in mind and go for it.
Okay.
Do the best you can do in that, and if it fails, then it failed. Then it wasn't meant for you. It's better than having an idea and not starting it, and one day seeing someone else doing it, and you'll be like, oh, maybe I should have done it. That will destroy you. That will break you. If you have a goal, if you have something you want to do, go for it and don't let anyone change your mind. Don't let anyone discourage you. You do it until you can't do it. And if you feel like you've reached your limit and you can't do it anymore, then change. Go to something else. But at least do it. Don't let, even if it's family, even if family says, you know, most of the people that started, those interviewers on BBC, on MTV, when you look at some influential people, a very simple example that I like, Trevor Noah, he started as doing stand-up comedy, and then he ended up doing the openings of big ceremonies for officials. So even if it's small, I remember one day he was doing this joke where he called his mom saying he was doing stand-up, and his mom says, so your job is making jokes.
Exactly.
But those jokes took him really far. So even if you're starting with a YouTube channel, a small channel, start with your small channel and keep growing it, keep working on it. The effort and work that you are putting on it will pay off. And they will pay off to a level that 10 years later, you look back to your first video and say, so I looked like it back in the days.
I feel that, I understand that. So yeah, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
My chair, Mr. Armand, and my man, for those who don't know. And it was a great conversation with you, and I hope someone has gotten something to learn. And if you have any comment, any suggestion, or any question to Armand, you can let me know on the comment section and I'll pass it to him. But thank you so much, and if you want to have him again on this channel, let me know on which topic or what questions, and I don't think he would mind being here again.
I would love that.
Thank you so much. So until next time, my name is Irene, and I want to say bye to you. Have a good day. Thank you so much, sir.
Have a good day, my love.
It was a pleasure. Bye, baby.
Bye. Okay.
Bye, guys. Sorry about that.
About what?
About the kiss?
Yeah.